How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTCReaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we do have some indecision here, so I would still exercise caution, but we did try to bounce forward, and we are seeing crypto pull back. Remember, when Dixie goes up, usually crypto goes down. That's why we cover it. VWAP is pulling back, money flow selling off, and momentum is pulling back, but if lower time frames gain strength, we could still push forward here. Over on the 1 hour, it does look like we are trying to make a higher low, so watch if we make a higher low. If we follow this higher high with a higher low, we could create a bullish continuation that could push Dixie up, and again, usually crypto down. Stochastic does want to pull back, RSI is starting to sell off. As a result, momentum is breaking down due to that VWAP favoring bearish, which is pushing money flow into the red. Overall, I would watch that VWAP very close. If it continues to favor bearish here, it's likely we would break down, potentially making that lower low that our MPP does say we could see. However, if we see that VWAP rebound, that's where we would make a higher low and potentially push off. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we did see a little bit of a rejection, so our altcoins did a little bit better than Bitcoin, not too much, about 1.5%, depending on if you're looking at futures or Bitcoin. So stochastic is pulling back, RSI is dropping, VWAP is pushing down with consistent lows and a lower high, so we do have bearish favor, bringing that momentum lower and weakening money flow. If this continues, we likely will see a strong bearish trend. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a higher low here though, so I would watch that higher low, could help push us up. Remember, we want to follow that with a higher high. If we get a higher high here and feel that 80% probability of pushing for a higher high, then we could see bullish continuation that could make us get a strong bounce off this area, and then we could push forward. That'd be for dominance though, so that just means Bitcoin could outperform altcoins in the short term. So you'd have to see how Bitcoin looks to determine if that means Bitcoin is going to go up as well, because remember, dominance can increase if Bitcoin outperforms total. So RSI is starting to pull back. RSI is starting to cause that RSI and stochastic are dropping. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. We did reject that support resistance area of that 936. So I would watch if we continue to drop away here. Remember, we have been saying we could push down to the 749, and that would be hopefully the max pain we see. But remember, we could push lower. We do have other gaps. VWAP is starting to push down, momentum is rounding, money flow is trying to remain bullish, but with the VWAP breaking down, that money flow could start to reverse and change course. Over on the 1 hour, we do have an MPP target that says we could try to push forward, but that was before we got our current MPP, which says we could break away. We got that full breakdown, so watch for a rejection of the 936. If we reject our 936 and make a lower low, then it's likely we could continue lower. However, if we reclaim that 936 and make a strong bounce with higher highs and higher lows, and that VWAP stays bullish, then we could make that rebound. That VWAP is favoring bearish right now, but watch, it could be a short low. If we get a short low here, followed by a strong high like back here, then momentum will break through, money flow will follow, and higher time frames could strengthen, but watch for that 1 hour to stay bullish for several hours. Remember, don't just go in just because it flipped green for a minute. Over on Bitcoin futures on the daily, we do still have that insane break up to 150k according to the MPP. Again, don't trust every part of every indicator. Use everything in confluence. Use more than one thing at a time and make sure they align. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, money flow is pulling back, stochastic is weakening, and RSI is dropping off. So watch those lower time frames. If they pick up bearish trends and continue them, then we will break down. However, we are kind of on a teeter-totter kind of point where it does look like we're trying to make those higher lows. We do have a higher high, so the MPP does say we could try to push forward, but that was dependent on our lower low we made. We pushed up, made the higher high, which was a less chance of happening, but we did that, we pushed forward, and now we filled the lower potential of breaking down. I would watch if we don't meet support here, we could continue lower, drop down toward that 89k. But if we make that higher low, which does have a 71% chance of happening, then we could push forward, providing we can continue with higher lows and higher highs. Watch against higher lows and lower highs because we could make a symmetrical triangle in that case, and a symmetrical triangle. After this push down could break us down. We did fill a gap here on the 1 hour, so just exercise caution, because now that we have filled this gap, we filled this one too when we broke down to fill it. When we broke down to fill our first gap, we created a new gap that gave us that temporary push up that we are now breaking away from. So that shows how gaps have an 80% chance to fill. But if we continue to see this rejection, again, watch for that 80K range, because we do have that other gap there. So stochastic is pulling back, RSI is dropping down, that VWAP is breaking away, momentum is dropping, and money flow is heavy in the bearish territory. So watch that VWAP. If it continues to drop down, we will continue to see those higher time frames weaken, which will give us that higher chance of pulling back. And Bitcoin does say we do have a high chance of breaking toward that 82K still, according to our MPP, but that was based on this previous high here. Based on our current low, there is a chance that we do push forward and retest that 100K range. Watch for a rejection in that area. Now it just changed, so watch that MPP close. Again, these do kind of fluctuate. That's why you don't want to just go on them right when they appear, because you can see that percentage just changed a decent amount. VWAP is favoring bearish, but it's not really getting a lower low. Watch that VWAP close. If it can hold a bullish trend on lower time frames, we may see it curl forward. Momentum is pushing down and money flow is starting to weaken. So if that VWAP continues to weaken on lower time frames, we would make that rejection. Over on the 1 hour, we have a lot going on with our MPP here, hard to read. So we do have a lower low here. That lower low had a high chance of making a lower high. We did not make the lower high. We made a higher high, so that is positive. But again, we do have a higher low, so we need another higher high to break forward. If we don't get another higher high in the next few hours, then we could see that rejection here toward that 86, 80K range. That's where our first buy-in would be, right around that 90K. So stochastic is pushing down, RSI is weakening. Our momentum did break away as that VWAP is holding bearish. That VWAP did run up very quick after getting some indecision here, so that was positive, but that was a quick drop down. Remember, when you shoot straight up, you do come crashing back down. So watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP stays bearish here, we're going to see momentum and money flow continue to fall. That's where we would make our rejection. If that VWAP gets a short temporary push into bullish territory and makes a lower high and then breaks back down, that's where we would retest that resistance area and possibly see another pullback. So if we do see that, that could make a symmetrical triangle, as we would have higher lows and lower highs. Again, watch out for a symmetrical triangle, because after coming from a breakdown, it can make a bear pendant that can break you even lower. So over on graph for the daily, we did try to break our support level. We did hold pretty decently, so that is positive. But again, just watch for a retest of the value area high and our 16,316 ranges. Our side is pretty flat, as stochastic doesn't know where it wants to go. The daily indicators not very helpful right now. Momentum's flat, VWAP is flat. VWAP is trying to be bullish, but we have a red down momentum showing that that VWAP is attempting to break down now. And if it continues to break down, we could see some strong red candles and break that support. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs here, so I would exercise caution. This lower high with these higher lows could make that symmetrical triangle. Again, symmetrical triangles going to push you down. It can push you up, but coming from a downtrend, usually they would push you down with a bear pendant. So stochastic doesn't want to pull back. RSI is starting to weaken. That VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping down. We have a red dot showing that that VWAP broke down. If that VWAP stays bearish here, we will see money flow pull back and higher time frames will continue to sell off. So that VWAP is very important. We are pretty much at influx point, and we're not really clinging to much here, with that VWAP being pretty favoring that bearish territory. So that VWAP, if it continues, I would watch for lower lows and lower highs. If we see another trend like this, that's where we would get you another leg down. However, if we do manage to make a higher low here, that could give us a bullish trend. We do still have the potential of bouncing off our support. Our MPP does say there's a chance to push up toward that 23, but that is a lower probability, and that was based on that low. Our current probability it's showing is getting that lower low. So again, that is new, so don't take it with a grain of salt. Don't take it for it's going to happen. MPP is pretty accurate overall, but there are times it has been wrong. That's why we don't really watch it too close until it's been there for a while. Once you see something there for a few hours, depending on your time frame, few hours or a few days, then it may be a little more solid to watch. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are losing our support levels, so I would watch. We could push down toward that 30 cent like we've been warning of. Our side does want to pull back. That stochastic does want to round away. What's ME coverage? So if you want to explain that, OG, we can cover whatever you're asking for. But overall, we are pushing down. That VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is rounding away. RSI is pulling back, and our stochastic does want to round. So I would exercise caution, as we do have that indecision and a potential rejection of resistance. So over on the 1 hour, we do have that lower high. Again, we do want to make a higher low, so I would exercise caution, but the MPP does say we could end up breaking away. VWAP is breaking down, momentum is rejecting, money flow is selling off, so overall, if that VWAP stays in a bearish trend, we will see money flow and momentum continue lower, just like everything else. Stochastic is pulling back, and RSI is weakening. Over on XRP, we are making that break down away from that triangle, so I would exercise caution. We did get right around that $1.90, $2.05 zone, depends on what market you're looking at. Some markets did say they saw about that $1.90, so your buy order may have gotten filled depending on what exchange you were buying on. RSI is pulling back, that VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping down, and money flow is weakening, so overall, watch that VWAP very close. If that VWAP continues to drop away, we will see momentum bring money flow lower, and we will continue to see our selling pressure. Watch those lower time frames. Remember, if they stay in bearish trends, we will continue lower. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a potential for a bullish trend, as we do have a potential inverted head and shoulder with a shoulder, a head, and then potentially another shoulder that could try to rebound us into our pattern and invalidate it. So again, don't go for the full breakdown, don't go for the full breakup. You may be just left in the sidelines if you do so. Stochastic is starting to push down, RSI is starting to weaken, VWAP is breaking down, momentum is rounding, and money flow does want to pull back as well. So even though we have a potential bullish pattern, wait for confirmation, watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP continues to reject here, we may feel that MPP probability of pushing back down to that $1.90 zone. So over on Algo, guess we're not getting an explanation from OG, so we won't cover what they asked for. Over on Algo, we shopped just shy of our buy-in area, so that was a pretty strong support resistance area. Probably could have bumped it up a little bit because, in retrospect, it probably should have been somewhere around these support resistances, but kind of hard to determine that. That's why buying in at little incremental spots is going to be better than buying in one big bulk spot. So that's another example how DCA can help you. Maybe you would want to buy just below this resistance, then just above this support. That's one strategy you could have done. Remember, use support and resistance to your advantage. Stochastic does want to pull back, weakening RSI. VWAP is starting to favor bearish, momentum is dropping, and money flow does want to push up, but with the VWAP favoring bearish, that could start to bring us down if lower time frames don't hold a bullish trend soon. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a higher high with higher lows, so continuing the trend of some of our coins, this could try to push us up. But again, still watch for that symmetrical triangle that could try to break us down in the long run. Stochastic does want to pull back, RSI is starting to drop away, VWAP is breaking down, momentum is rounding with a red dot, so if VWAP continues to drop down here, momentum will break down, money flow will continue to reject, and higher time frames will start to go into the red and continue to sell off. Remember, we do have that 28.48, and then we have that 25.03 holding us at support levels, and then we have our value area high just below that 25, just above 24. So again, don't go for the max of any of these. You may be left out, kind of like we were sitting in between here. Thank you for watching tonight's video. Hope you have a great night. Hit the like and subscribe, and